after that, we find that we're having some pretty significant issues still in the United States. And our government was looking at a few different situations. So, for example, the Peanut Corporation of America was a wholesale peanut butter company. They were making peanut butter and selling it to companies like Nabisco. They had some inherent issues. They had an infestation of rodents. I'm talking like rat poop on top of peanut bags. They had a leaky roof, and birds fly over the roof, birds poop, it rains, and the salmonella from their digestive tract moves from the poop to the roof through the rainwater into the facility. And so they had salmonella in the peanut butter. And the worst part was they knew. They were testing the product. They were testing the peanut butter. They were looking for salmonella, and they were finding salmonella, but they were falsifying their test results. It was consistent. It was blatant. There's plenty of email evidence showing the CEO saying, just ship it. Even a customer one time tested their product, found salmonella, told the Peanut Corporation of America, and the Peanut Corporation of America was like, nah, your test is wrong. Our peanut butter's good. So obviously, eventually, this led to a huge outbreak. They made 714 people sick. They killed 9 people. And as a result, our government actually reacted and they decided to prosecute. So the CEO, he got 28 years. His brother, who was head of peanut roasting, got 20. There was a head of lab who got 10 years. And the secretary, that got 3 years. So because of that, we essentially got preventive controls for human food. But not only that, there were other instances too. But this one in particular led to supply chain controls. So under HACCP, supply chain management was a prerequisite program. Under preventive controls for human food, some parts of your supply chain program will be at the level of critical. So they're going to be supply chain preventive controls. Right. That means that you would go and audit your supplier or send somebody to audit them. You might do testing of those ingredients. You might have extra requirements. You might review them on the FDA's dashboard and see what kind of recalls they've done, what kind of warning letters, and all the dirt that shows up on the dashboard, right? And that way you know how your supplier is doing. Are they making a good product? Are they safe? So that was one of the big things that they changed when they put together this regulation, because they used HACCP, but they basically changed some of the wording and then they added some pieces to it and made some pieces stronger. So they're trying to make it better, right? The other thing that came up was Bluebell ice cream. They had 2 listeria outbreaks. The first one, they had listeria in their freezer for their finished product. They were making those cups that you got when you were a kid, like the chocolate, the vanilla, and the swirl, and they were selling them to elderly care homes. This is an at-risk population. They accidentally killed 3 people. They shut down production for a good while. They fired half of their staff. People didn't trust them anymore. They lost a good portion of their market share. It took them a long time to get back into production. And eventually, when they did, 2 years later, they had another recall for listeria again, but this time it was from their supplier for their cookie dough. So because of that, we got sanitation controls and instances like that. So sanitation preventive controls are about making sure we avoid cross-contamination from microbes like listeria, right? One of our pathogenic organisms. That one's scary because it can grow at 32 Fahrenheit, which makes it unusual. And if you get infected and you develop listeriosis, there's a 1 in 3 chance of dying. It causes stillbirth. Listeria is frightening, and it causes a good portion of our recalls. So sanitation preventive controls, we're cleaning food contact surfaces with extra care. We're thinking about where our product could be exposed to the environment and get contaminated. We're thinking about monitoring our environment, checking it out and seeing what kind of microbes tend to live in our facility. What's the baseline? We can track and trend to know if we're developing a problem. The other piece that they improved from HACCP was allergen preventive controls. And that is because about 30 to 50% of recalls are caused by allergens, whether it's the wrong label being on the product, the allergen missing from the label on the product. Not too long ago, there was a recall for butter that did not say contains milk on it. Sometimes it's, the wrong product in the wrong package, or cross contact where, you end up with an allergen that's not supposed to be in a product in that product. So those were the major shifts. Outside of that, they added a recall plan requirement. So anytime you decide you have a significant hazard and you need a preventive control, you have to have a recall plan in place. And so all of these things work together, and we have to figure out how we're going to manage them on a day-to-day basis. So we set up procedures for how we're going to keep an eye on those controls that we decided on. We're going to decide what corrective actions we're going to do when we might have unsafe food. We're going to look at verifying how our system is working. Is it working the way we intended it to, the way we wrote it, and is it controlling the hazards? And then we have to keep records of all of that to prove that we're doing it, right? So that's essentially what preventive controls for human food requires us to do. It requires us to build a food safety plan that does all of this to reduce risk for consumers so that we can all feel happy and safe when we're eating food and sharing food with our families.